This week on Mitch and Ed's Excellent Adventure,
we have the technology to take on the $6 million man.
Hi, this is Ed Dollister.
This is Mitch Halleck.
And welcome to episode 7.
Doesn't make a difference.
Doesn't matter. No.
No.
Mitch and Ed's Excellent Adventure. We've been doing this 7 weeks. Can you believe
endless
that?
amounts of entertainment. Entertainment has no number, Ed.
That's right. That's right.
We're number one in the hearts of fans everywhere.
That's right. All 12 of you. So thank you so much for joining in again. How have you been this week, Mitch?
I've been fair and dandy, Ed. A bit other than fair to middling. I've moved up the scale to so-and-so, a Metsa. But I'm working on maybe hunky-dory.
Oh, that's pretty
How
good.
about you?
I'm to quote Christopher Reeve, I'm feeling pretty swell at the moment.
Well, no one says swell, Ed.
So I had some arrivals this week from eBay, which was good. Sitting behind me, which is pretty cool. I managed to complete my 12-inch Star Wars Luke, Han, and Chewie. Even though I had them, they were missing little pieces. So I had to buy whole new sets to add those together.
I saw that, yeah.
Did you know that Chewbacca, I didn't know this. So my Chewbacca that I had, my 12-inch Chewbacca, was from made in Hong Kong. You know, it was missing some of the ammo clips. So
bandolier?
On the bandolier. So I went to get a new one. The one I got, different bandolier, complete, but different bandolier, made in Korea. And then I realized, okay, there was two different, they brought out two different ones. And they're slightly different colors. And then do I keep one?
Really?
Do I keep another? But anyway.
Well, was that like a reissue, or is that all during the original run?
It's all during the original run, so they made a running change, yeah. So
I was reading some of our comments from a previous show, and the one we did about Indiana Jones collectibles. You and I were talking back and forth about the back of the card.
Yes.
And mine had 9 figures, and yours only had 4.
Yes.
And then somebody wrote in that
John, I think it was, who...
Mitch's was the more valuable one because it was later in the run.
Yes.
But he opened it, so it's not worth anything. I was like, thanks, buddy. So now that solves the mystery of the different indie backs. See, we don't know everything, Ed. We don't know everything.
We don't. We never claim to know everything, but we know enough to fake it.
Yes, until we make it. And, so far, so good. But speaking of breaking and making things, Ed, you remember back in the day when money was, pretty expensive, not like nowadays, when it's like $1 worth about a nickel?
That's right, especially the Australian dollar. It's probably worth Anthony B. Susan dollar or something like that.
I hearken back to the 70s, Ed, when I was just a mere child, and I remember the sum of $1 million was worth a heck of a lot of money.
Oh, yeah. It was a lot of money back then. Not to mention $6 million.
$6 million. That was insane. What could you buy with $6 million, Ed?
Well, you could buy part of Lee Majors, I guess.
Looks good at NASA run. Roger. BCS arm switch is on. Okay, Victor. Landing rocket arm switch is on. Here comes the throttle. Circuit breakers in. We have separation. Roger. Inboard and outboard are on. We're coming forward with the side stick. Looks good. Roger. I've got a blowout. Day for 3. Get your pitch to 0. Pitch is out. I can't hold it out to 2. Correction. Alpha 4 is off. Trip collectors emergency. Flight call. I can't hold it. She's breaking up. She's breaking.
Steve Austin, astronaut. A man barely alive. Gentlemen, we can rebuild him. We have the technology. We have the capability to make the world's first bionic man. Steve Austin will be that man. Better than he was before. Better, stronger, faster.
or two legs, in fact, if
That's
you were
right.
Major Steve Austin.
That's
or
right.
Colonel
And
Steve Austin. I'm sorry.
I think it ran from 1973 to 1978. So it ran for
5 years. Yeah.
5 seasons. And it's got a special place in my heart because I used to watch that. It used to be on Sunday nights, 7:30, and I would watch that with my dad. We'd sit down in front of the TV. We'd watch that on a Sunday night. And that's before I'd had to go to bed because it was a bit late, I must have been 4 or 5 and, I was pretty young in those days. And after each episode, my dad would give me a bionic battle where we do it all in slow motion, where I'd be able to wrestle him and everything like that, which is fantastic. So I really love this show.
Did you make that?
Yeah.
No, beep, beep, that was his eye.
I'll see if I can find some of those wonderful sound effects. But for those who aren't in the know, The $6 Million Man was a TV series based on the novel Cyborg by Martin Caidin.
Yes.
Interestingly, Martin Caidin wrote 2 Indiana Jones novels.
That's right. Indiana Jones and the Sky Pirates and Indiana Jones and something else. That
The White Witch, which is featuring, I think, on an up-and-coming indie cast as well. So
that's our other thing that we do.
That's right.
Our other job.
That's right.
Yeah,
On a multimedia empire that we run.
We are the kings of Queens. Oh, I just knocked something over.
That's
anyway, right. Going back to $6 Million Man, Cyborg was a novel that for years I looked for as a kid because I'm like, I wanted to read more about it. And before the $6 Million Man became a weekly TV show, it was a ABC movie of the week. And those were pretty spectacular back then. They were low budget, mostly done by Universal Studios. They had a deal with ABC and there'd be a lot of the same actors. I say this because Darren McGavin, who we talked about in previous shows as the Night Stalker, starred as the Oscar Goldman type character in the $6 Million Man pilot. I don't believe his name was Oscar Goldman.
It wasn't, no.
But it was the same role basically, and they were working on a project and they needed a victim, but they needed a test subject. And lo and behold, Colonel Steve Austin happened to crash while testing a prototype for the United States Air Force. And it so happened that, hey, we could rebuild him. We can make him better than he was before.
Yes.
Stronger and faster.
That's right.
That's how it would start every week. And Dr. Rudy Wells came in. It was a different actor too.
Yeah, they had 3 Rudy Wells before they settled on, I suppose, the Rudy that we know and love. And and
did you watch the TV movie? Did you ever see it as a kid?
Look, to be honest, I don't remember the specifics of me watching the telemovies. I definitely watched the weekly series. So,
no, I remember it was a 2-hour show.
Yep.
Or maybe it was 90 minutes, but they just dragged it out for 2 hours.
With commercials as well.
With commercials and such, yeah. And then I do remember there was a line in it, a bit of dialogue that Darren McGavin was walking with a cane. And he talked to Steve Austin and he said, I got shot in Korea and he basically had a bum leg and it wouldn't work too well anymore, shrapnel or something. And he, in the telemovie, Steve Austin is not happy that they did this to him. In fact, he wakes up in the hospital and he's just a torso with one arm and a bandage on his eye. And he's like, why did you do this to me? Why didn't you just let me die? And I remember there's a scene where he basically grabs the IV bottle and he starts just thrashing about in the hospital bed and the nurses come in. And, he doesn't want to be the $6 Million Man. He doesn't want to be this freak show, this test subject with half robots, half man, more machine than man, like a Darth Vader thing.
Yes.
He was totally against it. And like I said, Darren McGavin explains to him how lucky and fortunate he is because they live in a world where $6 million, which was a lot of money, could buy you new limbs and he could do all this stuff. And they send Steve Austin on a mission, I'm going to say somewhere in the Middle East, if I remember it. It was against some terrorists and they had kidnapped somebody, I think, and he had to rescue the kid. And that's how it ended. There was just that one movie. And it did so well in the ratings. I'm going to say it was 1972 or 72 was the TV movie that they brought it back in 73. And at that point, McGavin was already doing the Night Stalker telemovies.
Yes.
Which coincidentally, he did the second one with Richard Anderson.
Yes,
who would go on to play Oscar Goldman. So there's a scene in The Night Strangler where you have Kolchak talking to Dr. Richard Malcolm. Was the character that he played. So you have two Oscar Goldmans in the same scene at one time. But anyway, they cast Lee Majors, who was actually a pretty famous. He was in a show called Big Valley, which ran for years. It was like a
was
Western.
that with Pernell Roberts?
No, that's
that
this had Richard Long, another Richard, and it also had Linda Evans.
That's right. That used to be on Saturday afternoons, and I used to watch it. Yes,
Barbara Stanwyck, who was an old-time movie actress, was the matriarch of this family, and Richard Long, who was also on Nanny the Professor. He died very young. I think he was in his 40s. He had heart problems. He was the older brother, and Lee Majors played Heath, who was the younger brother who kind of worked on the farmhand. And Linda Evans was their sister. And that ran for a couple years. And I'm going to say that Lee Majors in real life was a football player. I'm going to say Florida. There was like a weird connection between him and maybe Burt Reynolds. It was that type of...
They were a similar type.
Yes. That's all I can remember him. And I think he did a TV movie called... No, it might have been Joe Namath. I was thinking of something called CC Rider. But I can't remember what Lee Majors really did to establish himself as a leading man other than being on our Big Valley. But anyway, he got the part as Colonel Steve Austin.
And I've got to say, he is he's fantastic in that role. I don't know what it is.
He does the squint a lot.
Yeah, I used to love doing that when I was pretending to use my bionic eye when I was playing out in the backyard.
And he was also famous for the weird lopsided grin. If you watch it, he does that a lot. It's like
it's like Harrison Ford, so it works for him. So
Oscar would say something to me to go. Not the full smile. You're not getting the full. You just get a. And anyway, that show lasted. Have you watched them since then?
I haven't watched them recently, but I have watched them since I originally watched them, and I still enjoyed them. I think they're
obviously slow paced.
Yeah, I don't mind that though. Again, we're watching at the moment season 2 of The Bionic Woman, and we'll probably talk a little bit about that later on. But I like the pace, obviously, as a fan of the 70s. I like the fashion. I always dug. I always remember Steve Austin would wear
the leisure suit.
Though, they were awesome, and would have his shirts open down to his navel.
Oh yeah, and he had the chains. Didn't he have a chain here and there?
Yeah. And I had because I had $6 Million Man and Bionic Woman posters all. Star Wars, and even during Star Wars, I had them all over my wall.
Oh yeah,
and,
He was. I had the $6 Million Man lunchbox. I had that for school. Oh yeah, it was blue and whitish. It had a blue trim to it. It was metal, and on the thermos it had him running with that red workout suit.
Yes.
And then it was just. I think he was like lifting up a tree on the box or something. The lunchbox on one side and beating up bad guys on the other side, like throwing a car or hitting them with a lamppost or something like that. But it was the deal. It was the real deal, man. Back in 1975, to have a $6 Million Man lunchbox.
Oh, I can imagine. Well, the thing is that $6 Million Man, and we'll get into this in a little bit, had some amazing like merchandise and tie-ins. Before a lot of like it was sort of a bit of a gold standard when it came to that when you think of Star Wars or something like that. And there's certainly links to $6 Million Man and Star Wars. The supporting cast for the $6 Million Man, we obviously had Lee Majors as Colonel Steve Austin. Colonel Steve Austin, who was perfect for the role. But the stalwart of the series, Oscar Goldman.
Yeah, Richard Anderson.
Richard Anderson. He's the boss that I think everyone would like to have.
Oh, yeah.
He was firm. He knew his stuff, but he was kind and understanding, and he was awesome in both the $6 Million Man and the spin-off series, The Bionic Woman as well.
He was another old-time TV actor, and if you watch a lot of movies, he was in everything. Richard Anderson was in like movies with, Cary Grant and Paul Newman or something. Yep. He was like an old-time Hollywood studio player. They got a contract with Universal, so you would see him pop up a lot. I think I've even seen him on Twilight Zones or something.
Yes,
like.
I was thinking that actually.
Yeah. And his tagline on that show was always "Pal."
Yeah,
he always called Steve Austin "Pal." You all right, pal?
And Bionic Woman, babe.
Be careful, pal.
Yeah.
And he had that briefcase and stuff. It was like he was with the OSI.
Yes.
What did that stand for? Do you recall?
OSI was Office of Scientific Investigations.
Oh, was it? Okay, all right.
I think. I'll put it up under here, so just in case.
No. It was interesting.
I do remember though. It did change sort of between each. It was Office of Scientific Investigations, Office of Scientific something. It was sort of like that. But that was sort of a unique task branch force, whatever. Of they ran out of was it the Pentagon, that building? I should have when I was in Washington.
Yeah.
If I knew, I should have gone to. I don't think you can get that close to the Pentagon, but
not anymore. No.
No, but I would have loved to have seen that office where he was.
Oscar Goldman's office. No, and when the show first started, I don't think it was very science fiction, because you remember at the time, TV is great for copying each other because every network seemed to have a show about a robot cyborg type of person. So $6 Million Man was ABC's, but there was Future Cop, which was a show, I think it had John Schuck he was an actor. He was also the Klingon guy in Star Trek movies, but John Schuck, I believe he was half robot and half human, or maybe he was all robot. I don't know. And Ernest Borgnine was in it. That was Future Cop.
That is right. That was later. I think that was a bit later on, but I do remember seeing the intro for that. Yes.
There was another one with an actor who I can't recall off the top of my head. I was going to say Keir Dullea, but it's not Keir Dullea. He had like really blue eyes and like tight curly hair. I'm going to say his name is something Garrett.
Hey,
there was another show.
I know who you. I can picture him. He was in a lot of 70s like guest roles and things like that.
Yeah, he was a very good-looking guy with the tan and the big piercing blue eyes. But there was another one. He played a half-human cop, or maybe an all-robot cop. His name was Haven, Haven. I always thought that was odd because I lived in New Haven, West Haven, so I remember the name. But I don't remember what that show was called. It wasn't Future Cop, but it was another one. But, yeah, there was a big push in the 70s to have these combination technology and robots and stuff. I mean, they were very sci-fi-ish. Maybe they were afraid, like, that we were going to be taken over by robots or something like that. I don't know what the fear was, but
computers were just starting to, get into the collective of popular culture as well. And I think it was pretty amazing to think what could happen. He had his bionic legs, which he could run really fast. Obviously, he
ran like 50 miles an hour, wasn't it?
It was always slow motion in the.
I know.
I don't know why they should have shown it occasionally. I mean, I know in the Bionic Woman they haven't. She's always in slow motion. So but they should have shown him running really, really fast.
They did it only once. You could see it in that opening montage. That's from the TV movie when you just see him flying by.
Or on the treadmill, where he's going, and everyone's really amazed.
And then I remember he would lift up stuff. I think it was like 500 pounds, maybe. They had some type of, like he was lifting weights or whatever.
His bionic arm, well, also with his legs, he could jump really high and land as well. And he had his bionic arm, which was the strength of a bulldozer.
You know how they used to do that effect with him jumping, right?
Oh, they would reverse the footage.
It was reverse. Yeah, the stuntman
would jump backwards
and backwards. And then, that's how they would do it. Yeah, real high tech.
Because you can always see when he sort of. Yeah, you can tell, but
you know how you can tell, because the flaps on his sports jacket would kind of move the wrong way. It's like, wait, shouldn't they be going up instead of like opening because he's going back in the wind? real high tech.
Because you can always see when he sort of, you can tell. But
you know how you can tell? Because the flaps on his sports jacket would kind of move the wrong way. It's like, wait, shouldn't they be going up instead of like opening because he's going back and the wind's going underneath? But you think they would have taped those down, but kids were dumb. We weren't paying attention to much.
No, we were just cool saying, wow, a bionic man. So
now see, it was on here Friday nights. Now Friday nights were a magical night because there was a time when it would come on at 8:00.
Mm-hmm.
Or was it? I'm trying to remember. The Donnie and Marie show was on Friday night on ABC.
Fantastic.
Then it might have been the $6 Million Man. Then it was the Night Stalker. And there was a problem one year because Planet of the Apes was running at 8:00 on CBS against the $6 Million Man. And it's like, there was no DVR. So I'm like, oh my, what show do I watch? And I ended up choosing the $6 Million Man. Good as opposed to the apes. And the apes didn't last that long, so maybe that was a big deal. But Friday night was magical here. So we got to stay up late, unlike you on Sunday nights. But I remember the $6 Million Man being a Friday night staple, and then Monday morning you'd come to class and you'd talk to your friends like, did you see Steve Austin this weekend? Did you see what he was doing? They weren't very science fiction at first. They were more espionage, Mission Impossible type of thing, bad guy of the week type of terrorist thing. It wasn't until maybe, I'm going to say the second or third season, they started getting into like UFOs and aliens and stuff. And of course, the classic, you know where I'm going with this.
I know because I had night terrors because of this episode.
Really? Because of Andre the Giant as Sasquatch?
No, it wasn't Andre the Giant. It was Cassidy. What's his name? Ted Cassidy.
Ted Cassidy.
Yes.
Oh, I think at one point it was Andre the Giant because I could have swore there was a fight with Andre the Giant. I think they had two different actors playing.
I certainly know that because anyway, we're talking about bionic Bigfoot.
Yeah, bionic Bigfoot. Yeah,
who was absolutely terrifying. What got me was his contact lenses.
Oh yeah,
and how he was just relentless. And I had such nightmares about Bigfoot.
You remember he ripped off his arm? And who was the alien woman that ran? Was it Stephanie Powers?
Stephanie Powers, because there was the return of Bigfoot in the first season of The Bionic Woman, which had Stephanie Powers
maybe that's why there's two different actors.
Sandy Duncan was in that as well.
Sandy Duncan, who most people might remember as having
a funny eye.
She had a glass eye.
Oh, was it? I didn't know it was a glass eye.
Oh yeah, it was a glass eye. Yeah, Sandy Duncan and Sammy Davis Jr. Not the same. They didn't share it, but she had a glass eye.
There's only one in Hollywood. It gets passed around.
Here. She was like an entertainer. She was John Davidson's girlfriend. Oh no, that was Karen. That was Karen Valentine.
Okay.
He had a thing for Karen Valentine. But Sandy Duncan had her own show. It was like the Sandy Duncan Show.
Yes.
And she had that little haircut. And she kind of looked like Mark Hamill did in the Star Wars Holiday Special, if you ever saw that.
In fact, maybe it was her. I don't know.
We should do a show about the Holiday Special.
Oh, that'll happen. That's a great idea.
Science fiction and whatever the hell Carrie Fisher was on.
Yeah.
That's a show. But anyway, Bionic Man, that was the scariest one with the UFO, with the Bigfoot. And I remember the end of it. They wiped Steve Austin's memory and they gave him some serum that was going to be the cure for cancer. And he couldn't remember what it was because they had mind wiped him. And they're like, what's this, Steve? He's like, ooh. But I'm like, oh my God, that would have been it. That was the cure of all cures. And he can't remember it because he's been mind wiped.
Yes.
Do you know that?
Yeah.
I was going to say, did you ever hear the behind the scenes story? You know that tunnel? There was a circular tunnel.
Yes.
That they would have to walk through. And it used to be on the Universal Studios tour ride here in the United States.
Yes.
I went on it. And what happened is if you watch it, you'll see Lee Majors as Steve Austin kind of crouch down and do that. And what I had heard when we were on the Universal tour is that he would suffer vertigo from being in that thing. He was supposed to walk through it, but it's a ramp with a spinning thing going around you, so you're disoriented. And what was happening is he was getting dizzy, so he was like crouching down, but they left it in the show. So if you ever
I'm sure they've used it in Battlestar Galactica. I know they had a ride, an experience there on part of the, but I did notice in the Bionic Woman episode, you can if you look on the on the floor. They've covered it, I think, just like with white sheets.
Oh, you
to
can see
cover
it's
up the floor so you don't
yeah.
see like the track or whatever that the car is on. But I always thought, oh, that's kind of funny. But you know, it's a Universal Studios production, and they
now wait a minute,
the backlot and everything like that.
Jamie Summers had the fembots with the robots.
That is
now,
correct.
I know the toy. We talked about Maskatron before, which was a $6 Million Man toy. Was there a Maskatron on the $6 Million Man TV show ever?
I don't remember, but the Maskatron, well, the fembot, look, there was a sort of a Maskatron on that Bionic Woman episode with the fembots because they took Oscar Goldman was taken over. There was his secretary and Rudy's
what was his secretary's name? She was a recurring role.
Yes.
Was it like Trudy?
Or Linda? I can't remember.
I thought it was Trudy, but she was somebody there. I mean, that was the other thing? Was everyone supposed to know that $6 Million Man was like $6 Million Man, or was it like a?
I think if you had level 6 clearance, you knew. Anyone below just thought he didn't have buttons on the top half of his shirt.
Quick, what town was he from? They made a big deal about this on the show. What California town that he and Jamie Summers were there?
Oh, no,
Ojai, California.
Actually, yes, they mentioned that because I'm just watching the episodes with Jamie where she's joining the police academy, and I've never heard of Ojai.
Yeah, it's OJ.
I've heard. Oh, okay. I was thinking Ohio, but
no, OJAI. It's weird. It's in Northern California because I was always like, what is this place that produces people that grow up to be cyborgs?
Yeah.
The Jamie Summers and stuff. So yeah, but do you remember the $7 Million Man, Monty Markham?
No.
He was Steve Austin's rival. He was another pilot, and he wanted to be bionic. Yes, he was He was better than Steve Austin because he cost $7 million.
Now, and wasn't Monty Markham wanted for the role of the $6 Million Man, and Lee Majors got it instead of him? Yes.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and I say this because Monty Markham has written to me to ask to be on a guest at my Terrificon show, and in fact, this year, until Corona stepped in, Lee Majors and Lindsay Wagner were scheduled to be guests at Terrificon 2020. That was going to be one of my announcements. I was holding off, but not happening this year. And I was going to get Monty Markham to show up and get the bionic battle right there, and have them. I can't bring Ted Cassidy.
Could you see if they're available next year?
I'm hoping. God.
Because I did see a panel from, and Lindsay Wagner looks fantastic still.
She does. Yeah.
Well, she they had a great panel discussion that if you search online, you can find it from a recent convention, I think last year. They'd be awesome guests.
Wouldn't they be?
Oh my gosh!
I met her, Steve. I met Lee, Lindsay, and Oscar Goldman. He passed away only like a year or so ago. He's like 92.
Yes.
He would be at some shows here in New England, and he had such a hairpiece on that Richard Anderson. You could actually, maybe that's still on tour because it was like this full wig. I mean, you could see him in his face. It was Oscar Goldman. He had that like very cut features and high cheekbones and stuff, but he had this hairpiece on. I was like, you ain't fooling anybody with that thing. It made Walter Koenig's hairpiece look good. That's how bad it was. But he was sharp as a tack because I sat in. Maybe it was at that show.
Yeah.
Because I sat in on a panel with all of them, and they were answering questions. They had anecdotes and stories. And Glenn Larson was the other guy I was going to bring in because he's still around. He was the producer
of many things.
$6 Million Man. Yeah. And Battlestar Galactica. We talked about that.
Yes.
So yeah. Look at you. You're getting all crazy.
I am. Because I'm thinking that I might have an opportunity to have an autograph of the $6 Million Man and the Bionic Woman. That just blows my mind, my 6-year-old mind. So
when I do these shows, I always take a moment when I'm standing there backstage with them, or I'm having dinner with them. Had dinner with Sam Jones, aka Flash Gordon, and all this stuff. And then there's that moment where I just go, really? Because I'm imagining being a little kid again, watching these guys on TV and buying their toys and playing in the backyard with them, never thinking that one day I'll be sitting across the table with them, or better yet, paying for their airline or their hotel room as they're a guest at my show. So it is very, very rewarding and surreal at the same time.
Well, during the successful run of the $6 Million Man, they introduced Jamie Summers, who was to be the bionic woman. She was a professional tennis player, and had
love story.
Yes, and she had I think it was a parachuting accident.
Yeah, she was skydiving, and she got stuck up in the trees, and she was dying. And then Steve offered to save her, but like the monkey's paw legend, they save her, and they were supposed to be married, but she also suffered amnesia and could not remember who Steve Austin was. Tragically,
yes,
ending their possible
and she actually died in that episode.
Does she now? I don't remember.
So she died, and then they found out, you know, she was quite popular. She's Lindsay Wagner's watching the series again. She's such a natural performer.
She was a school teacher on that show.
Yes, on Air Force Base. Anyway, so she's brought back for the series The Bionic Woman. It ran for 2 series. It
actually switched networks.
It did. Actually ran for 3 seasons.
It was a
on
big
the
deal.
3rd season, it switched networks.
Yeah, ABC dropped it because $6 Million Man had already ended. The Bionic Woman was still going on. At the time, you got to remember, when Bionic Woman was on, CBS had Wonder Woman on. So it was kind of like the battle of the super women on TV. Wonder Woman went off. And then Jamie Summers was still on TV, but they took ABC, didn't want it, and NBC picked it up for the last season. So it ran over there. And I think honestly, I think that happened to Wonder Woman too. I think that switched networks. I know
that Wonder Woman, and there's probably we probably should do a Wonder Woman episode when Wonder Woman 84 comes out. But it changed. It was interesting in that it changed time periods. It's set in World War II.
It was in the 40s,
and then it went to modern 1977,
modern days. And then the thing of it is, Steve Trevor, played by Lyle Wagner.
Yes,
he played his son or his nephew,
like Chris Pine. How is he back? You know. Anyway, that's a whole different.
We'll have to figure it out. Maybe that's what they did. They switched. Yeah,
that's it. But The Bionic Woman is a fantastic show. It ran for 3 seasons. Oscar Goldman was back. Bionic Woman. She had bionic legs. Again, she could run really fast. Bionic arm. She had here. And I did like that whenever like when Steve Austin would squint and do his eye, and you got that fantastic view. Always Jamie Summers would always go like this. She'd go because she couldn't hear through her She couldn't hear through her hair. It must have been all that product from the 70s.
Yeah, you know? It was.
And we had Rudy Wells came back for that as well. Again,
yes.
Jamie was a teacher and would go on special assignments. That's where we had the return of Bigfoot. We saw the Fembots, which were really good and terrifying.
Yeah, but we missed a couple of things. Did you know Steve Austin, a.k.a. Lee Majors' real-life wife, the lovely Farrah Fawcett Majors, appeared on the $6 Million Man TV show? She was the big deal. She was, Charlie's Angels fame and all that
That's
stuff.
right.
She was like the number 1 pinup queen in the world at the time. She was on the show.
Yes.
And I'm trying to remember. Oh, they had Dick Van Patten's son, Vince Van Patten.
Yes.
Was the bionic boy. There was an episode where a teenage boy was turned into a bionic person. And that was played by Dick Van Patten's son. I always remember. And then she had a dog. Jamie Summers had a bionic dog as well. I don't remember what its name was, but she had a German Shepherd that was also made stronger, faster.
That theme song was fantastic. I mean, it was such for both series were really quite iconic and have come into pop culture with some the theme. We talked about the sound effects when people were moving, picking up anything. But
they did get back together again. She did get her memory.
Yes.
And she did remember Steve, and they did some bionic reunion movies in the 80s.
So after it ended, a $6 Million Man, it just ended without
no season
it just
finale.
ended. It just ended.
Got canceled. Yeah.
Yep. the Bionic Woman, they knew that it was going to end. So she ended up being on the run. But they ended up like having a season finale or a series finale.
Series finale, yeah.
Yep. And then later on, it must have been at least 10 years later.
10 years later, yeah.
It came back for a series of telemovies.
Mm-hmm. And do you know who was on that played, I think it was her daughter?
Sandra Bullock.
Sandra Bullock, a.k.a. the Speed Queen there. She was their daughter, and I think they got married, finally.
Yes.
Steve Austin and Jamie Summers got married. Was Richard Anderson on it? Was Oscar on it?
I think he was on one or two of them. Yeah.
Okay. They did at least two of them.
Yeah.
I think it was called the Bionic Showdown, if that was the title.
Yes.
If I remember it. Yeah, and that was it. But I don't think they did a third one. I think they just did two of them. And then, you might not know this because I doubt they ever aired this in Australia, but in America, when we'd go back to school in September, they would have a preview night on Friday night where they would talk about the upcoming TV cartoons that were going to start the next day.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one year, I think it was 1976, the ABC Saturday morning cartoon preview show was hosted by Steve Austin, a.k.a. Lee Majors. And the thing of it was, the premise was somebody had stolen the reels of all the new cartoons, and Oscar Goldman called Steve Austin to go track it down.
How cool.
So Steve was on a secret mission to get all the Saturday morning cartoons so us kids could watch them the next day. And at the end of the show, he's on the lot at ABC, and who does Steve Austin meet? He meets Lee Majors. And it was an unbelievable scene where the two of them were shaking hands with each other. He's like, "Do I know you?" "No, I don't think so." And they walk by each other. And of course, Oscar Goldman's there. He's like, "Thanks, pal." And it's that. So go look it up on YouTube.
I will. I'll do that right after.
I watched it as a kid. I remember audio taping it and listening to it again and again and again because it was mind blowing that, it'd be like William Shatner meeting Captain Kirk or Leonard Nimoy meeting Mr. Spock. Steve Austin met Lee Majors on a show and they shook hands. And I'm like, how is this possible? What kind of world?
What I'll do is if I can find it on YouTube, I'll put it as a playlist. You can watch it after.
Yeah, it was something to see. It was really something to see. They never had a cartoon show, unlike Happy Days.
Yeah, which a lot of things had Star Trek, all those shows.
Star Trek had them. Yeah, I don't know why Universal never did a $6 Million Man animated show. There's been talk for years about making a movie adaptation.
Yeah, they had Mark Wahlberg was attached to it, the $6 Billion Man.
Yeah, but I heard for years it was Jim Carrey.
Oh,
it was supposed to be like a comedy, and then that got shelved. And Mark Wahlberg, I heard, was in production like a year ago about to do this, but I don't know what happened.
He's just...
he ruined the Spencer for Hire TV show. That just...
I've heard that it's nowhere like the...
Robert Urich show.
Yeah, the source material. So,
no,
and there was a spin-off. Oh, well, not a spin-off. There was a reboot in 2008 of the Bionic Woman.
There was?
Yeah, there was. It was not very good.
Was Jamie Summers on it?
It was Jamie. It was. I don't.
You're right. No, there was. I do remember it. Yes.
Now I can't remember the actress, but she was in.
Wait, it was the. Was
Robin
it the
Hood? She was a British actress.
I was gonna say it's not the girl that played Starbuck on.
She was in it. She played the original Bionic. She Katie Sackhoff. She played the original.
Sackhoff was on it. Yes.
She played the original Bionic Woman in it, but
she wasn't a hero. She was like the bad guy, right?
I think so. Yeah.
That's why it didn't work, because why are you tampering with something good? But anyway, it did spawn a lot of great memories and a lot of great TV, but it also was a merchandising bonanza. Correct?
Oh, look, and I've brought some. I've over the years I've lost a lot of. I don't know what happened to my $6 Million Man memorabilia, but I brought a few to share if that's all right. So my favorite, and I've got two of these.
Oh yeah, the Kenner. Yeah.
Is the Kenner $6 Million Man. Let's see if we can
look at that eye. Yeah.
You can't get. Come on, focus. There we go. So he had his that
bionic whatever thing.
Yeah, it was an engine, a car engine. Hang on, where are we? There we go.
Yeah, it's an engine block. Now we talked about that. Mine had a rubber skin on the sleeve that you would roll up, and you could take out the components.
So mine's got clear.
Yeah, those are the components, but mine came out.
So there's a few things. Basically, what he would have is at the back. Here we go. You press the back, and that would pump up his arm, and he'd pump that up. He'd also have in his eye here. He would have you could look through his bionic eye, which made things further away. And of course, they use this Kenner for Boba Fett as well. So he had the same eye in his viewfinder and everything like that.
Oh, he did? I did not know that. And then his legs had on his thighs, he had like little components too.
So this one is these are mission ones where basically you can open up his legs.
Oh wow! Now those were accessories. I didn't. That didn't come with it. You had to get those separately.
And he's got exploding leg parts on that one. So
who doesn't?
Yeah, that's true. The other thing I had, this was really cool. It's lost in time, unfortunately, but this is.
Oh, that's the radio.
It's a crystal radio. So what you do in there was the earpiece. I'm missing, unfortunately, the backpack in his helmet, but you could tune in AM radio with that, which is really cool.
Yeah, it actually worked. I remember. Did you have it as a kid? Was that like yours as a kid?
Oh, that's mine. That's mine from it. Yeah. So I had that. I had some extra arms and limbs. I had my mum used to make lots of clothes for my. I had G.I. Joe with the real, the real hair.
Yeah, the fuzz. Yeah.
And also my 6 minute, she'd knit stuff and make denim stuff, and I've still got all that stuff, which was.
Well, he came out with a couple clothes.
He had mission outfits and
mission outfits. That's it. Yeah. But I'm thinking there was 3 different $6 Million Mans. There was the original one I had. Then they came out with the second version, which I think had some more of those exploding parts. And I think there might have even been a third in the series, if I'm not recalling, because it was it was a huge success.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I had this thing that looks like a giant thermos. It was the bionic capsule or whatever. And it was supposed to be this it was a storage thing for him. I mean, it was like a long tube, but you could open it up and it was like the bionic clinic, and you could put little wires there, like you were giving him a tune-up, like he was a car.
You could. That was fantastic. There was also
an inflatable thing.
The mission headquarters that you could.
Mission headquarters. Yeah.
Again, there was it was almost like one of those chambers where you could escape from and everything like that.
Yeah, it was like a grid thing, like a spider web thing. You'd blow it up and sit inside of it or like that.
So you had that. You had they brought out the Oscar Goldman doll as well. Oscar Goldman had the exploding briefcase. They had the OSI headquarters.
I don't remember the OSI headquarters.
Yep, that looked really cool. It lit up. It had it looked like Oscar's office, which was great.
Really? I had Maskatron, which was cool because it was 3 guys in one. You could make him Oscar Goldman.
Yes.
You could make him himself, which was the bad guy, or I think you could Steve Austin.
Steve Austin as well. Yep.
And he would take off his mask, and his face had this circuit board.
Yes.
Look to him. So that was Maskatron.
Yeah, and as you were saying, the Bigfoot doll as well, which they had. Yes. And I'm pretty sure, I could be mistaken, but in the mock-ups, it's totally different. The Chewbacca.
The head is different, but the arms and legs might have been the same for
That's
Chewbacca.
True. But I think in maybe one of the mock-up photos, you know how for Luke they use the Hardy Boys, they use Parker Stevenson as
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yep. I'll see if I can find a picture of Luke. But I think they used the Bigfoot doll as the prototype, sort of before it was made in production and things like that.
Oh,
but there was so many cool. They had the Bionic Woman doll, the Fembot doll, a whole slew of things. Yes,
they had comic books because I remember getting this one. It's kind of battered and torn up, but this was done right here. In Connecticut, there was a company called Charlton Comics, which was based right up the road from me in Derby, Connecticut. And they had the license for the $6 Million Man comic book. And I remember getting this. And then there was a magazine they also had, too, which was a larger black and white magazine with artwork by Neil Adams, too, the $6 Million Man. But this was I mean, I was head over heels. And I sent away for the $6 Million Man fan club, which I remember getting as a kid. You got the sticker that was on basically the toy box. You got an autographed picture of Lee Majors wearing that leisure suit with his leg up. I remember him doing that that safari pose, hey pal. And it was a letter like, this is to certify that you are a member of the $6 Million Man fan club and blah, blah, blah. And I think it came with a patch as well, but that was the $6 Million Man fan club. And this book is cool because here's some of the things. Look, they're even doing a spotlight on the $6 Million Man. Also, Ed, your favorite, Space 1999 was a comic book by them.
And Emergency.
And Emergency with Randolph Mantooth.
Yeah, Randy Mantooth. I always loved. That was a great. That's a great series as well.
And I mean, if you can look at this is artwork by Joe State, who comes to my show. He's really good. He's even got the Lee Majors smirk going on there. That's there.
Yeah.
That's
well, I've got the only thing I could find book wise was my $6 Million Man gift book.
Yeah.
Which actually has look at this artwork in here.
What's that? Oh, that's cool. It's like a little action.
Yeah, and it actually has.
You know what? I had a record album. I'm thinking now I had a $6 Million Man record album, like a story thing going on.
Yep, there we go. Look at that. So this has got comics in there as well, which is really cool. There was a record album by the people who produced the same one
Power
as your
Records.
Spider-Man. Your Spider-Man. Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of those things that just dawned on me. I'm like, wait, there was a record album. I had that too.
So when I was younger as well, we had coming out, we had TV Week magazine, which is, I suppose, like your
TV guide.
So we had, there's my, I've got a few. This is from 1976.
Yeah.
We've got.
Look at them with those sunglasses. Hey.
Yeah. I remember when in the Bionic Woman, Steve Austin had his mustache.
The porn stash. Yeah, I remember that one.
We spoke about Farrah
There she is,
Fawcett,
Mrs. Farrah. Yeah,
$6 million couple.
They got divorced, and then she went to go marry Ryan O'Neal.
Yep, there's another one of Lindsay.
That's Lizzie Wagner.
There we go. Yep, and there they are. Oh, this is a bit. There we go. That's a little bit.
Oh, there they are together. That's Farrah and Lee. Look at that.
And I had, I had posters all over the place with the $6 Million Man. And the other two collectibles that I had actually.
Was there any food or trading cards?
I think there might have been trading cards, but there were model kits. And I had 3 or 4 model kits. There was $6 Million Man and the Evil Rider, which was him taking this sort of like Nazi motorcyclist on a chopper.
Yeah.
Him escaping from a prison cell. There was him holding up a giant gorilla. Then there was him tearing open the jaws of a crocodile or an alligator. I had all of those.
Yeah. Really?
They were snap tight, and they
snap tight. Yeah.
And they're gone. And I just looked on eBay. I thought, maybe I'll buy some of those just to read.
$5,000, right?
Something like that. $6 Million Man memorabilia is very expensive.
Is it really?
Oh my Lord, it's ridiculous. But I do have these two, which are my $6 Million.
Oh, I had that. The board game. Yeah. I remember playing with my cousin Gwen. We would play with that. Yep.
And you can see, again, this is the Australian version with the toll.
You had mission cards, if I remember. You'd open it up and you'd go on different missions. Yes, I remember that game. And there was a second game or a Bionic Woman game?
There is a Bionic Woman game, which I only found out about.
I knew about that one.
Which I haven't got. And there was this one.
Bionic Crisis. Yeah, man. I remember that thing.
Again, Toll Toys here. So you can see.
I'm going to say there was actually $6 Million Man paperback novels.
I think there was some novelizations as well.
Dim recollection of that. I do remember buying those. And we'd get like the book club. They'd send it to school and you'd buy a book and you'd send the money in and then they'd send you a book. I do remember $6 Million Man.
And most recently, you were saying about the Wonder Woman 77 comics. There's a Wonder Woman 77 meets the Bionic Woman.
I just had that here last week.
Yeah.
I don't know what I did with it. Speaking of the same company, it's Diamond Comics right here in New Jersey. They came out with a line of comic books, but either the price tag was not as impressive anymore, or they can't use the name. But it's called the Bionic Man. Kevin Smith from Mallrats and Clerks fame. And Terrificon. Look, he did this, and it was a whole series of books that covers by Alex Ross.
Yeah.
And I think you'd get scared with this in issue 12. He met
Oh,
Bigfoot. Look at that. That's a beautiful cover.
that is good.
It ran for a bit, and then they did a bunch of, like, there's more of the $6 Million Man, blah, blah, blah. But they did team ups, and you're right. They did do a Bionic Woman one, and I had it right here on the table as I was organizing.
Had it in my hand, Marcus.
I had it in my hand. It was the Bionic Woman meets Wonder Woman, and it was great.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman 77. See, there he is getting made up.
Oh, yes.
Nasty. Yeah, but there he is.
So
that you can get, these are relatively cheap too.
Yep.
They did 12 issues of the relaunch of the Bionic Man by Kevin Smith.
Well, I do know that, yeah, the collectibles, like the Steve Austin figure here, and a lot of those things are really quite expensive.
Yeah.
To get anything boxed, you're looking a couple of $100 at least. And Oscar Gold, like the Oscar Goldman dolls, all are really quite expensive, but they're great collectibles. Unfortunately, unfortunately with Steve Austin, his jumpsuits would all get really holy. They'd just wear through, and trying to find one.
Yeah, they weren't that thick, if I remember.
No, but they were great fun to play with. They were worth.
Oh, wait a minute!
Yeah.
Did they have some type of $6 Million Man outfit you could wear, or something like that? Like a thing on your head? Maybe I'm thinking of the Hulk. I know the Hulk had this vest that you'd put a shirt on and you'd pump it with air.
Yes.
It would swell up with muscles, and it looked like your shirt was ripping. I thought maybe they had some Steve Austin line of, like, I don't know, outer space stuff or whatever.
Okay, I'll have a look.
I'm gonna look that up.
If I can find it, I'll put it up on screen. So
yeah.
So there's lots of things to collect. There's lots of things to love about.
It's pretty amazing for a 5-year show that it took off like a rocket. You know what I mean? I mean, it was like hugely popular, and then it just kind of died out real quick. You know why? Star Wars. Star Wars killed the $6 Million Man. There you go. So
I think so. I think it probably did, unfortunately.
Because they stopped making the big figures and they went to the smaller ones like that now.
And then, as we said, Kenner, because Kenner had the license for $6 Million Man, they utilized
Kenner was the people that made Star Wars,
and they made the larger figures, which didn't work. There was only really one series of those, if you include IG-88 in that from 1980.
Yeah.
But they utilized.
Maybe that's what happened. Maybe Kenner just decided to spend their money on Star Wars and said, forget it.
But it's lots of great memories from the $6 Million Man and the Bionic Woman. They're available all on DVD. All the seasons are available.
You can find them on YouTube too, I think.
You probably can as well. And they're really good. And just, remember, like everything we talk about here, watch them through a lens of the 1970s TV. Things are a bit slower paced. Some of the viewpoints, they're Bionic Woman certainly is, they're very sexist towards.
Oh, I believe it.
And things like that. But you just got to watch it through that 70s lens, and that's how it was. But they're still really entertaining, great performances, fun cameos, and I love the $6 Million Man and the Bionic Woman. They're great fun.
He was the best. Well, there you go. That's another Mitch and Ed's excellent venture back into the land of yesterday, huh?
That's right. I think we'll be heading next to a galaxy far, far away. But that's coming up. I should say thank you very much to all those people who have subscribed, new subscribers, new viewers out there to the show. Thank you very much. Are you itching for your Batman cereal yet?
Have we got 1,000 people yet?
Not yet. Do you want me to do how about a mini challenge? If we get 100 subscribers, I will eat my 2008 Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
All right. And
how about that?
We'll do it like a telethon. Along the way, we'll have a set goal.
That's right.
I will drink my Phantom Menace Mountain Dew with
maybe do that at 250. At 500, I'll do my Phantom Menace.
This is our stretch goal. This is like 1,000 people, but we'll do in increments. I found in the cabinet my Captain America Civil War cereal. Still in the box. I didn't know I had that. So
we can call it our sick starter, because we'll probably be sick after we eat all this stuff.
We'll slowly die on this show eating old foods. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But sure, it's all show business, Ed. If that's what the people want,
that's it.
Sure.
That's
Let
right.
them see it. Yeah.
All right. Well, Mitch, hopefully your bionic implants are staying tuned up over your isolation time, and you don't need any oil changes or anything like that.
Well, yeah, a little bit maybe, Ed. I think so. I think my bionic eye's a little messed up. I'll have to put my eyeglasses. I'm almost done organizing my comic books, and hopefully I used to have more $6 Million Man comics. That's the problem when I do this stuff. I find stuff that I go, I know I had more.
Well, guess what? I just remembered my from you. Where is it? My $6 Million Man Hallmark Christmas ornament.
It's right.
Which does
yeah. I forgot that.
Yeah, so did I, but I just remembered it now.
Now you just remember. So there is something there.
There is.
Jeez, so Louise, they did bring back a $6 Million Man thing.
Yeah, so that's
what do you know?
So, well, that's it. That's our look at the $6 Million Man. Until next time, this is Ed Dollister.
This is Mitch Halleck.
And you've been watching Mitch and Ed's Excellent Adventure. See you next time.